commission to order. We'll start with the pledge. Commissioner Sutton, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first on the agenda, we've got Jennifer Sitzma. How are you today?
You want me to sit at the table?
You can. I want to give a shout out to Jennifer and I knew each other back in the northern days. Security residence.
Well, she served on the, what were you guys, student senate with my sister, but my sister only qualified as vice president, not president. So.
Well, it's good to see you again.
You too.
What do we got going on?
So in 2014, NECOG wrote a grant for the county to apply for assistance with the disaster mitigation plan, and we've basically been developing the required 5-year update for that for you guys. Got delayed a little bit based off of just the number of counties I was completing these for in our region. And we're coming to the end of the updates. A couple things have changed in that time frame. One of those things is how the in-kind is collected, which is why last week when Scott was in front of you guys, I asked that you keep a sign-in sheet and include anybody who's in the room, anybody who shows up during your commission meetings today and last week on that, because now the state, the way they rectify the in-kind is based off of who's included in your minutes, and then they compare that to the sign-in. We used to collect actual in-kind and have people verify and sign on the in-kind. So what happened when they changed is they basically now are requiring us to use the standard volunteer rate, the $20.29 is what the South Dakota volunteer rate is per hour, which unfortunately in Brown County you guys lost a lot of in-kind that had already been collected when they changed that rule, because we have several people who attended the PDM work sessions that were getting paid substantially more, people like, you know, Robin Buffine, and so now we're kind of just kind of on the back end, just because the state changed their process, are trying to make sure that you guys meet the in-kind match. And what that does is it saves the county from actually having to write a check for our services. You're meeting everything by in-kind. So I will have everyone sign the in-kind, or the sign-in sheet today if I don't want to be a pain, but it helps the county to not have to come up with actual cash match.
I've got one going around.
Do you? Okay, that'll work. Yep, that'll work. So that's that side of thing. I don't think we'll have any problem meeting the match at this point, based off of my rough calculation. Just I don't know exactly what the state's doing on there, and I used to have a little more control in my office to know exactly where we are on the in-kind, but I don't really have that anymore. So from my calculation, it looks like we still need about $645 left to meet the county's match, and I will be at the city council meeting, I believe next Monday, to collect the rest of it, and I think we're not going to have a problem meeting that, so there won't be any exchange. You won't have to write a check to NECOG for our services. So that's on the in-kind. That's just that side of it. What the plan does is it makes the county eligible for mitigation activities when money becomes available to the state of South Dakota through any presidentially declared disaster that happens in our state. So it's a requirement for the county to have the plan and to do the updates if you want to be eligible for what they call hazard mitigation grant funds. And because we never know when those funds are going to become available to the state, we want to have a plan with identified mitigation projects on the shelf so that when the money does become available to the state, you're ready to apply if you have projects that need to be completed. One of the projects that was in here in the 2010 mitigation strategy that you guys completed was your flood structure, or the gate structure at the Crow Creek, and that is that completed, or is that okay? So one thing we can do, even though it wasn't funded with mitigation funds, I believe it's funded a little bit with DNR, a little bit with James River Water, but one of the things we can do in the plan is kind of chalk that up as progress we've made towards the mitigation, you know, actually showing progress that we're working towards mitigation, and that it is a priority for the county, and that you're kind of following all the rules. But I've worked with Scott closely on all of the PDM work sessions that we did, and those were held in 14 and 15, and then I drafted all of the updates. At this point, I'm only waiting on a few things, some information on your national flood insurance policies, just the number, which I got from Mark Macy. I need to include that, and then some information from Mary Worley.
And that's coming.
And that's coming.
Just about compiled.
And so, with that, I did bring a draft of the plan, and I can email it out to to each of you or email it to Max, and she can get it to each of you if you're interested in reading what's there. I can help you out with, save you some time reading. If you want to just go to the mitigation strategy section of it, that identifies your project and what you have in there. And then if you have any comments, or if anybody you know is interested in, if you have farmers that live near you, or I don't know, city council, if you're near another community where they're interested. We did change the format a little bit. In the 2003 and forward, they just had county and largest cities, so Brown County and Groton and Aberdeen adopted it. Then in 2007, 8, 9, FEMA decided they wanted every, like Hecla, Claremont, Columbia, so we include all of them, and we invited them to attend. The problem is that the requirements of the plan are numerous, and sometimes they just don't have the capacity to handle everything that it takes to meet the requirements of the plan. And so we've gone back to the easier format of just having Brown County, Aberdeen, and Groton, because they all wanted to individually adopt the plan, and the rest of those communities are covered under Brown County. That doesn't make you responsible for their projects or their local match. It just requires that they coordinate through Scott on any projects that they want to do. They would still be the individual applicant, as long as, they just kind of have to have your blessing, but there's no formal action required. If they want to submit an application, they could. It doesn't have to be, Brown County as the applicant or like a sub-applicant. So not a lot has changed there other than less requirements on those small communities that have a hard time even getting all of the information to us, but they're still eligible for mitigation. And it was a lot of work to change the plan over to the old format, but a lot less work on collecting the information and kind of prodding and pushing people for information that they don't have. So probably a smarter way to do the plan. But again, if anybody is really interested in mitigation, I know that you had talked about Westport being a really good kind of person or community to maybe participate. If they did decide that, they wanted be more involved, they could definitely do that and adopt it individually in your next update or even at the annual. Scott reviews it annually for any additional projects. If you're completing projects quickly and they get completed, three completed this year, then we would remove those and add more, so that, because the projects have to be eligible for mitigation funds, they have to be listed in your plan. So, any questions on that at all?
So, we talk a little bit more about projects. What do we have listed right now?
Yeah, definitely.
Give us some examples of what, and you said this is a 5-year?
5-year plan, and the thing that you should know about mitigation is not preparedness. It's really not sirens and generators. We've got those to qualify through this program, but that's not what FEMA wants to fund. And it's not emergency response. It's not fire trucks and police and, it's not those two things. It's long-term sustained actions you can take to prevent natural hazards from either destroying your community, loss of life, loss of property. That's really what you're hoping your actions will do. The biggest thing that you guys do that's an ongoing mitigation action is you participate in the National Flood Insurance Program. According to FEMA, I know there's feelings on both sides of that on whether or not we should have to do it, and how useful it is. But again, that's an ongoing mitigation. The other thing that you do is you regulate growth and development. You don't allow people, I don't know how much you regulate it, but you don't really allow people to build in the floodplain, and if you do, there's requirements they have to meet, base flood elevation, that type of thing. That's ongoing mitigation that you're doing. Enforcing the burn ban. Those types of things are ongoing mitigation. So some of the things that you had listed, mitigation activities for flood hazard included fortify existing levees, particularly the confluence of the Elm River and Moccasin Creek. Does that sound okay? I won't go on in all the specifics of that. They had a rough estimate at the time was about $200,000, and thinking that they would prevent, $4 million worth of, or protect $4 million worth of structures and cropland in that area. Raise roads to prevent water from running over and creating unsafe conditions due to deteriorating surfaces. That was, some of these were actually thought up in 2010, so remember where we were in our history at that time. But they're not bad projects because it's not unlikely that something like that could happen again. Educate and inform Brown County residents regarding flood safety. Replace or reinforcement in the floodgate, and I have a note in here saying that this project is in the process of construction, will be removed after it's complete. So if it's complete, I can remove it. Add additional stream gauges along the rivers within the county. I don't know if that's been done or if it's still a priority. Conduct a study.
You don't have to read all of them.
Okay.
I was just kind of getting
so,
a feel for where we were and what. So at this point, we can add.
You can absolutely add if you have anything that you want to put in here. Obviously, we want to make sure it meets the mitigation, test to make sure that it's actually mitigation. One of them is clean out James River and its tributaries. I know that there were some areas where they were cleaning out debris. They go back and forth. I hear laughter.
Big project.
Yeah, exactly. And I think other counties have tried that. I think Spink did a big project down there, I think, and it was kind of in collaboration with the James River Water Development District. So for severe weather hazards, again, increasing the public awareness and education on severe weather issues. Some other things that qualify are, building storm shelters, and we've talked about storm shelters at places like Elm Lake, which is becoming more populated, and Richmond. And I don't think Richmond State Park they have the bathrooms, but they're not solid enough to really withstand like a tornado. So it was discussed. I typically am I'm open to, if there's ideas coming in, I don't really shoot them down. I think the more we include, probably the better, because if it's not in here, it's technically not eligible. We would have to amend the plan and add it. So again, if they're not things that you're really excited about, that's okay, because obviously when you submit an application, you all are going to have to vote on it anyway to submit the application. So there's talks about burying power lines is a big thing. One other thing that's changed since the last time we updated the plan is that the rural electrics now just adopt the state plan, and they don't have to now attend the mitigation meetings in every county that they go through. They're allowed to just adopt the state plan, and they're kind of covered under the state plan, so they don't have to individually adopt their plan anymore, which is a good thing for them. Dredge reservoirs to improve water quality. I don't know how many conversations have been had, so I don't want to make anybody mad.
Some of these
and you'll email it to us, so we'll read through it. Go ahead,
kind of far-fetched, but some of these are reality. To get the Jim River cleaned out, that'd be an awesome project to help move water. Obviously, there's some funding issues and stuff like that, but again, that's reality for our immediate flood concerns. So that's why those are in there. If some money would come available, or somebody would we would have some stuff in there. And the good thing about some of this stuff is if it's in our plan, it actually gets us ahead in the process if we would apply for grants for this. We've identified it as a need, and that is a helpful tool for the county down the road, or the municipality.
And I should mention, the grant funds through Hazard Mitigation Grant Program are always 75-25. So 75% grant, 25% local match. You don't often see those percentages in grant programs, so it's heavily grant. And the good thing about the local match side is you can do that in kind. So if you have equipment, or when you come to road projects, your highway department probably already has equipment, maybe, I don't know, culverts, that type of thing, just sitting around in their offices waiting to throw them in the road, right? But so the good thing is you don't always have to come up with a cash match for FEMA programs, which is nice because it's not an expenditure out of your pocket necessarily. It's sometimes just time and materials, that type of thing. So basically, when you send it to us, we'll look, and it's a wish list. It's best to have as much on there as you think could possibly ever happen, and we'll read through it. And again, I think when you're thinking of projects, just remember that it's kind of long-term sustained action. Some of the things that are in here, they're not going to score very high. And the other thing that your projects have to meet is have you heard of benefit cost analysis, where you do a 1-to-1 ratio? So this money is not easy to get. I don't want anybody to believe it's easy to get, but if you have a project that could potentially protect a lot of property, save you a lot of money in the future, save lives, that type of thing, you're going to be able to meet that 1-to-1 threshold pretty easily. And you'll probably be working with me on on mitigation applications because Ted hates the program.
All right. Does anybody have questions?
I have a question. You had the Crow Creek Ditch Gate on that list. Did we qualify for any of the matching funds for that?
You were able to secure the funding through 2 other programs that were the requirements for those programs were much easier to meet. And so I think when Ted was doing the planning on that project, he kind of made an executive decision. Like I said, he doesn't like this program too much just because of the red tape. There's a lot of it.
Okay.
So you were able to get fully funded through 2 other programs, I believe. And so that was probably just a better match for. So
it was offered. It was offered that we could apply for this, and we chose to go.
I couldn't remember how I knew the funding sources, but I didn't know if that was one of them.
It was not in this case, but it could have been.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions?
Are the funding sources time sensitive? In other words, if you have a project, are they scheduled at a certain time you're funding? Is that?
That's a good question. The way our state does it is they have a queue of applications. So if you have a project that you are excited about or that you've maybe budgeted the 25% match for in your county budget and you want to submit it, if we submitted it to the state right now, because we haven't had any natural disasters in our state in a while, I don't remember when the last one was, but there's no money available right now at the state. But they keep it. It just sits at the state, and so it would already be completed. It would be a full application packet. The one thing, if you do it early, if they say we submitted one this month and there's no money and we don't have a natural disaster and there's no funds coming into this program for another year, we would probably have to do things like update, cost estimates, because costs always increase, and so then we're redoing a lot of work. So I'd almost encourage you having them in here, and then when the money becomes available, Scott gets notified. Sometimes it's $400,000, which isn't enough to fund a lot of projects. Sometimes it's $5 million, So other things that we've done in other counties is we've done acquisitions in the floodplain or areas that are prone to flooding. And we've done, Dade County got over $5.5 million to do home acquisitions of homes that were in areas that were prone to flooding. So there is a great opportunity there becomes a lot of money if we have really bad disasters. Of course, we never hope for disasters in our state, but when they do happen, it's nice that there's money that comes back to our state to put into mitigation for future losses. So.
And the state is good with putting everybody in the pool. So the Atlas snowstorm in the a few years ago that killed all the cattle, and that ended up to be a federal disaster declaration. Well, there's a certain percentage of that money, that declaration, that gets put in the mitigation, and that's open to all South Dakota. So it's not just the area that has a disaster. So that's
so
sadly we have to have a disaster to get the mitigation fund. So.
Okay. Any other questions for either Jennifer or Scott?
Do you guys have a preference? There's areas in here that are highlighted that are just my notes that need attention. Do you want this sooner, or do you want me to make all of the changes that I plan on having before?
Are you making them within the next week or so, or?
If we can get the stuff.
Yeah, why don't you clean it up and send us the updated, and then if we
what we plan to submit.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the only other thing is, hopefully, well, I guess if there's changes on the board, I might have to explain this again, but, so maybe it's bad timing on my part. I'm a planner, and I didn't think of this, but the adoption. So the reason I'm here today mainly is to let you know what this is, because you will get a resolution of adoption, and I hate putting stuff in front of people and being like, hey, just pass it. I want you to know what you're signing off, and your resolution of adoption is saying, yes, we approve this plan as a county commission, and this is the plan we're going to have on file. So when that comes, what I have to do after I have all the changes made, I submit it to the state. They have 45 days to review if there's no disaster. They submit it to FEMA. They have 45 days to review if there's no disaster. And then they'll come back and they'll tell us we have an approvable plan for adoption. And so once FEMA tells me, okay, we're good, I will send the resolution over to Max, and you'll be asked to adopt it. So I wouldn't be coming and explaining that again unless there's new people that I need to know.
Well, and we've got it on tape now, so Commissioner Fishback and anybody new that comes on board, they can go back and just watch this, and they'll get a good heads up. So.
I, for one, hope you only have to give it once.
Yeah. Are you bored out of your mind? You want me to get the heck out of here?
No, it'd just be nice to only hear it once.
Only hear it once. Okay.
All right. Any other questions? All right, we appreciate you coming in, and
Yeah, no problem.
We'll be in.
If there's any questions, if you look through here and there's anything you don't like, just email your comments directly to me, that's easiest. If they end up going back to Max, you can forward them on to me. And then the only other thing, was there a sign-in from last week?
Yes, there is.
Okay. If I could, I'll take that with and try to calculate your in-kind to see how close you are.
You want the one from today?
Oh, are there going to be more people coming in tonight, maybe?
probably
No,
not.
probably yes.
Okay, then I'll take it.
We can go gather it up if you like. We can go gather it up if you like. Only one people here.
Yeah, would it help to
Help them
blockade
out,
the hall?
bring them out.
We could blockade the hall and make them go through here on the way out.
Everyone's supposed
I think we did that with the flooding, didn't we?
Look at her donuts. The state's going to love it. Watch your...
I think she's just making copies quick for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Scott, thank you.
Take care.
We will be at ease for just a minute while Maxie gets that for you here. So when is your deadline to get that in?
There are no, well, you have a 3-year time frame from the
Okay.
date that the grant was awarded. We're under that. If we weren't, the state would be calling you guys, but
Gotcha.
Are those headings appropriate? That was last week.
yes, and then when you're done with your minutes, which I got last week, but
Okay.
this week if you could, and then remember to, you know, type in all the
No,
names.
yeah, I made myself a copy.
Okay, okay. All right.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. It's good
All
to
right,
see you.
thank you guys.
Thanks,
You're
Jennifer.
sitting at the head of
Jennifer.
the table, you're moving up in the
Yeah,
room.
right. We'll see for how long. Have a great day.
Well, let me go put my,
Yeah.
we'll see you guys.
That brings us to the end of our regular agenda, then we go on to Maxine's list.
Okay, minutes, joint city-county and general meeting, November 1st.
Move.
Moved by Feldheim, seconded by Hanson. Any questions, comments, or changes on the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Who led the pledge? Okay. Okay, claims.
Move.
Moved by Sutton,
Second.
seconded by Feldheim. Questions on the claims? I did have one question. When we're doing indigent council appointments, does the person have to be a Brown County lawyer, or can anybody be appointed for those? Do you know?
The court's free to appoint any member of the bar.
Any member of the bar? Okay, thank you. Any other questions on claims? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
I haven't shared this with Gary yet. With the amount of absentees, we've got a special absentee board lined up in case we need it at 5 o'clock. And so it'd be Kathy Fisher, Becky Dresden, Cindy Woodford, and then there'll be one more, but I don't know the name yet.
Oh, okay.
So I
Okay.
added it on your
Sure.
HR.
Not a problem.
Okay,
Did everybody get a chance to check out the HR report?
Yep.
and that's the 3 names.
I thought you said there were 5.
Well, Don will be one, and you approved him last week.
Last, yeah.
And then there'll be whoever the fifth one is.
The 5th one, and they're supposed to let me know as soon as they find out. We had 2 other county employees lined up, and they both decided not to do it.
I'll move to approve the HR report.
Okay, motion by Sutton to approve the HR report. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Hanson. Give me a sec to look that
May
over.
I add the 5th name, once I know what it is?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay, all right.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Fair contracts.
Moved by Feldheim,
Second.
seconded by Sutton. We just had the 2 in there for the announcers for the demo derby, I believe.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Every year, the city, the school, and the county do the resolution for consolidated equalization. And so that would be Resolution 85-16.
The only question was why the X through the area that's
Well,
signed. Is it-
because I need to type who made the motion before Rachel signs
Oh,
it.
clean
Oh.
copy.
Yeah, clean copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
any
move it.
Questions on the resolution? Okay. Motion by Sutton, seconded by Hanson. Comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Sheriff report.
Move.
Moved by Hanson, seconded by Feldheim. Questions on that report? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
There's, Tom Schmidt brought over grant award documentation for the highway safety for the chairman to sign.
Move approval.
Motion by Sutton,
Second.
seconded by Hanson. Any questions on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
He's
nay.
taken after you.
Motion carries.
And that's everything I have.
Gary, you got anything for us?
Just a couple things. We used up our 100 flu shots, and so you had approved initially 30 additional, and we've had 20 people that have expressed interest, so if you don't have any issue moving forward on requesting those additional 20, 30, the nurse would do that if there's no concern. We don't know if we'll get that for sure, but we can make the request.
I think that was the understanding before, that we would request if we went through all of them.
Yeah.
She just wanted to let you know where we were at, and then just a reminder, I'll be at the safety conference tomorrow and Thursday, so if there's somebody available to go to the construction meeting Thursday morning, that'd be great.
Where's that conference at?
Pier.
I should be able to go if you're not going to be able to be there.
That'd be
Rachel.
great.
French stopped down.
Great.
It was a good meeting last week.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Great. Yep, Larry, do you have anything for us?
We have the renewal, the ambulance contract there in front of you, and of course, you'll want to put it on the agenda for next week.
Okay.
But if you don't have any issues with it, probably we should get it scheduled and get it considered, so.
Sounds good. We'll put it on for
You got a
next
copy of it?
agenda.
Yeah, mine.
Anything else?
Nothing for me.
Okay. Anything from the folks in attendance?
Maxine, are you just going to announce that the canvas has been changed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the canvas will be at 4 o'clock on Thursday rather than 9 a.m., and I think Lynn was she already emailed the American News, and, got it, okay.
All right. Anything else from the commissioners today? Entertain a motion to adjourn? Moved by Hanson, seconded by Feldheim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll be adjourned till next week.
Help yourselves to cupcakes.